Hello, everybody, and welcome to Quantum Leap Revisited, our weekly show where we go over the classic Quantum Leap show, the one starring Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. And as usual, I have a wonderful group of gentlemen and lady with us. The gentleman you know, which is the real Sean Krummel. He's an artist. He has his own sticker collection on his YouTube channel. He talks about retro comic book reviews, pop culture, and also he draws. We also have Ro, who's a broadcast news veteran. He has his own podcast, the Scarif Podcast, also known as the Scarif Podcast. He's also the co-founder of the Red 5 Network, which is a group of a bunch of podcasters. And he has a lot of knowledge when it comes to technical equipment and behind the scenes within productions. He's with us today as well. You can hear all of his podcasts on Amazon, Spotify. What else is there, Ro? What am I missing?
Everywhere you find your other favorite podcast.
Apple, yeah. Well, anywhere there's podcasts, you can hear Ro. And then, of course, we have Beverly Leech. She writes Bev Leech. I don't know her that well, so I don't know if it's okay to call her Bev, but
please do.
Yeah, well, yes. That's good. Bev is good. So Bev is with us. That's a huge treat for us because she is, of course, the co-star of this episode. We're actually looking at her right now. And, as even Tex Rogers, who's a very tough customer, he mentioned in the comments that this is a fun episode, and I agree. It is a fun episode. And what's even more fun is that we're going to be able to kind of go over the episode with Bev, and we'll just make our usual comments, but she'll also be able to, provide maybe some additional insight that we don't know. And in addition, just so you know, I know there's a lot of people that like these shows, so I'm just mentioning it to them. Bev has been in a lot of shows, including also made appearances on Babylon 5, Star Trek Voyager. So I know there's people here in the chat that are fanatics of that. So I'm sure somebody will recognize her also from those. But
and MathNet.
Right, that too.
Price is like, I have no idea what that is.
Here, Ron Donofero, we're not worthy. Welcome, Bev. Great to have you with us. Welcome, Bev Leech. And then let's see.
Usually it's just us goofballs, but it's great to have celebrities on. So thank you very much, Bev.
Yeah, no, people get really excited here that stuff like that happen, and people are here. Lisa Katrine says another great surprise.
Thank you.
Rida Ibn Muhammad says, amazing welcome. Welcome, Beverly. And
Malachi knows what's up.
Yeah, Malachi D. Wildman says Square One TV show.
That's right.
So people are kind of excited now, and it doesn't surprise me that there's a lot of people that like a lot of shows, and they love it when a guest like you arrives. So. And to be fair, it's not something that happens every day here. So when it does happen, they're especially excited.
Well, I was telling you earlier that this was one of my favorite shows to work on. I just love the experience, and it's my pleasure to hang with you guys today. It really is.
It's our pleasure to have you here. And then we start off here, and it's, for those of you who know, this is still the extended opening narration, the one that Deborah Pratt narrates. Probably within an episode or two, it's maybe 2 episodes, it's going to have the reduced narration, but it's still the longer form version of the narration. Anyhow, Sam leaps. He's in a boat. He sees the Statue of Liberty. It's obviously close to New York. And then he sees this kind of bouquet
arrangement.
Yeah.
Arrangement. And we have not.
Says we have not yet begun to fight.
Right, and I'm not sure exactly like what the meaning. What did it mean? I'm trying to remember now, even though I saw it today.
It's a foreshadowing of my little sister, played by Juliet Sorcy. She played Jennifer Farrington,
right?
And she's the one that's orchestrated him coming on the boat. So that's the backstory on that. But the audience doesn't know that yet. And she's trying to pump him up to take hold of the issue and prevent her sister from making a terrible mistake.
And I just want to say, what a wonderful performance by that little actress. She was
Juliet.
really great.
Actually, when I look back, I mean, there's a lot of different scenes in this show that I loved doing. I mean, I just loved everything about doing this show. But I was watching it too about a month or two ago. And I remember how poignant my sister scenes were. And they were among my favorite, like the little pinky swear. And it was a softer time in the show. And I just really enjoyed my time with her. She was wonderful to work with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the thing starts and he's kind of confused where he's at. And then your character shows up. And like you said, she slaps him and then
slaps the hell out of him.
She hits him with the door first. He goes into the wall, and then she kisses him and slaps him.
I can tell you something about that. I did it in one take because because they told me to really slap him, and I made it count. And he said, "I don't want to do it again."
Not even luring him in with another kiss. He's like, "No, I'm good."
Oh yeah, you can see his hair.
I clocked him. Just once, just one take. That's all it took.
It's a good take. It really works. It does everything that needs to happen here happens. It's a really good, and it really sets the tone of what the episode is going to be. Mm-hmm. And like somebody said here, I kind of, it's fun. It's a fun beginning. Then you have the theme song, and now it's Sea Bride 1954. So now we gradually learn, and I love this that he arrives and he himself, she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he himself doesn't know because he just arrived. I always like it that he seems more confused than the person talking to him. And
it's also the Queen Mary. I don't know if you established that.
Oh, that's right.
Here we have Script Doctor. Hey, Script, how's it going?
It's going well. I apologize. Excuse me. I apologize for my tardiness. I was on the phone with a client, but happy to see you all here and also meet the lovely Bev Leech. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Really, honestly, I thought you might be watching the Dallas-Boston Celtics game, but I won't tell.
Mum's the word.
So yeah, we were just doing some introductions and just going over this beginning. This is I always like it when he's trying to figure out what's going on, and gradually I think he understands that first of all, somebody's about to show up, so he has to shove you in the closet, and then it's the whoever plays your father.
Can you do me a favor, Price? Can you go back to before she goes into the closet? Here's the question that I had for her. So
okay.
Keep going back. When she starts talking to him about, keep going, right by the flowers. You do this wonderful thing here where you're talking to him, you're doing your thing, and then all of a sudden you look around and you slap the top of the flowers. It was so natural, and it really, it made it seem like your character was just like, exasperated and stuff like that. Was that something that was planned, directed, etc.?
Was it planned? It was just something that happened in the moment, and they kept it. What they call a happy accident.
Yeah, that was great. Just a little tidbit of your character, like, what are you just talking to Sam, and you just looked at it. This is great.
Well, I'm slapping him. I'm slapping the flowers. I'm a mess.
Right, yeah.
Well, I like that the ribbon, the "We have not yet begun to fight" also is like a metaphor for what's going to happen throughout the episode. We're going to be fighting against each other.
Now that was planned. Deborah's a good writer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Tex Rogers says, "I'd rather be here than watching basketball. I'd much rather be
thank
here
you, Tex.
And
Me too. Everybody knows how to DVR anyway, so.
Tex is a tough customer.
He's a tough customer. Right. I'm with you, Tex.
And Ron Donofero is happy that Script has arrived.
We were concerned.
Yeah, no, because Script is usually like, usually, I wouldn't say the first one here. Wouldn't say that, but I'm saying like usually he either says something or he appears. But
yeah, sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. I figured. I was saying that I thought maybe your internet was down or something happened to you. So I was just
No, the Hollywood industry is going through a change right now, and I'm getting a lot more calls than I ever expected to. So
That's excellent. That's excellent.
good
Good
news.
for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not strike related, is it? IATSE's about to do something.
No, not that, but I do hope they get a great deal, and if not, I will be standing shoulder to shoulder with them. So
absolutely.
So at this point, he puts you in the closet. Was that like a real closet? Like he had to shove you in
It was
there?
a real closet. This was on the Universal lot. They did a full a reproduction of the Queen Mary, one of the Queen Mary cabins, and that was a real closet. So you see me going in a certain way, but you see me falling out a different way. And I was loving doing this because I'm a huge fan of Turner Classic Movies and rom-coms and all of that stuff. I'm a huge fan of the 40s, 50s, and 60s physical comedy teams. Dick Van Dyke and Lucy in the 70s and 80s, and just I had in my mind how I wanted to fall out of that closet, and I was so happy I did that in one take too.
Nice.
It was so much fun.
It looked kind of painful too, because when he pushes your head in, your body is contorted in a weird way. It's like
no, it's like fight choreography. It's supposed to look like it hurts, but it doesn't. You're totally in control of it, and I just made it look like it hurt, but it didn't.
Good.
All is well. The only thing that got crushed was the dress.
No, in this scene here, like he sees the reflection, so obviously the other actor had to be there. Were you there for the other actor being there?
Yeah, they shot that separately and then placed it in afterwards, but he was on set and he shot that later in the day.
They're like, we're gonna need you to remain in the closet for like 6 hours while we get these
No,
other shots.
no. That's an insert.
So what? You were the whole day there.
The whole day in the closet. Yeah, it is Pride Month, isn't it? Okay. But I'm really corny. I'm sorry, guys.
No, that was actually good. That was like a risque thing. We just didn't.
Well,
say
I know.
anything 'cause
I
we're
thought
covering our
I don't
asses.
even know this room. What am I talking about? I better shut up.
You're fine.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine. It was a legitimate thing. Actually, I'll tell you something that it's funny that you should say that, because he actually says a line once the father comes in.
That's right.
He says, well, or maybe they're in the closet or something, or maybe it's time to come out of the closet. And it's kind of strange because it actually sounds like the joke you just made, Bev.
Right.
And it's not thought of that way in the episode. I wonder if maybe that's a term that they didn't use a lot during that time. Yeah.
I think it was I think actually this is my take on it. It goes back to the old phrase "skeletons in the closet." That used to be a handy phrase back in the 40s and 50s, and or even before then. So I think it because of the period part of it, that had nothing to do with the current contemporary version of that statement.
I see.
Or skeletons.
Yeah, or skeletons. Yes.
So,
I also love this room. Well, the other room too. The Art Deco and all the
incredible,
little,
right? I mean, the set design was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, how old was the J.G. Hertzler here?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna say. Let me see what he looks like now.
He plays your father. He plays your father here, but I feel like they made him look older at this moment in time. If that makes sense.
I think he is older. Let me look him up on IMDb real fast. I got him.
1950.
1950. So he's 9 years. I'm 65. So he's. I was born in 59. So he was 9 years older than me.
But he's playing as if he's like 20 years older than you.
Well, yeah. So is the mother. The mother.
Patricia Hardy. Yeah.
Yeah, she was only 9 or 11 years difference, something of that nature.
Something like that. So they aged them up with the hair and stuff. Sure. It's easy.
I will say
True.
this: you still definitely looked like their kid, and not their contemporary. They did a good job.
Yeah, no, it didn't. It looked convincing, whatever they were doing. But it's just strange later when the age difference isn't as they really did age them up, like you said.
Yeah.
But they did it well. So at this point, and it's a nice planting for what happens later. That he talks to him about Harvard 1919 with a boxing.
Just
He's getting punched all over the place.
And now these guys show up with the flowers, and he's like, "No, take them away." And he's like, "No, it's out of friendship. It's not out of love. I just wanted to show goodwill or something like that." And the father is like, "Okay, we'll let it slide, but I don't want to see you near my daughter," or whatever he says.
Bev, you mentioned that Deborah Pratt is a good writer. We're really enjoying her episodes, and this one has some funny little moments in there when the guys are holding the flowers. One of the guys goes, they're arguing back and forth, and one of the guys turns around and goes, "These are heavy,"
yeah.
which is really funny and great. Simple.
They don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Simple. Yeah.
Yeah, it's simple, but I like. There's a lot of nice little nuances, and I agree. I think that anytime that during this time when Deborah Pratt had episodes, she usually does a good job.
Well, there's a saying in comedy: work clean, and simple. Keeping it simple is really the key to clean comedy. So that's what I appreciated about her comedic moments, is that they were tight and they were clean and they were easy to execute, and they weren't too hokey or they seemed natural. They didn't seem planned to me. So that they seemed like the unplanned moment, which is also the surprise of clean comedy. That she's good that way.
So, sort of going back, you said the set was not to jump backwards too far. You said this was all on the lot, right? Did they do any filming on the actual boat?
Yeah, I think the pools, if I'm remembering correctly, unless I was.
Because I was going to ask if you had any.
I think the pool scene was on the boat, but I'll tell you, the tank where he goes at the very end, where I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry about that. That was built on the Universal lot. That was amazing. I went to that. I went to that water tank for that. That was huge. But yeah, the pool scene was for real.
Okay. So I was going to say, did you see any ghosts?
No, I didn't. I really wanted to too.
All right, sorry, Bryce.
No worries. No, this any input she gives is great. I mean, she's our guest. At this point, Al shows up, and I think he already tells him that he gives the original narrative of the history. That he says that because this character that he's leaped into, he's so sad that she marries that Vinny guy who's a shady guy. He ends up committing suicide, and she dies of a broken heart a few years later. But it's I think even as they're talking, I don't know, maybe not yet, but at some point at least they figure out that it's probably not a suicide. But in any case, I think that Al tells him that he needs to win her back.
Mm-hmm. But he's doing it in and amongst his Al ways, where he's telling her Sam's trying to calm her down with deep breaths, and Al is saying no. She's saying I can't because the dress is too tight and to undo it. And Al's like, do it slowly. And it's like, you're such a creep, Al.
Yeah.
And then there's something else here that happens that seemingly it's kind of it doesn't mean anything in the moment, but it actually does mean something, where Al says that there was a relationship that he cared about that didn't work out. And, Sam is kind of poking fun at him because of all of his marriages and stuff like that. But in a more kind of almost serious beat, he kind of says there was one relationship that was serious to him, which seemingly doesn't mean anything, but it actually does.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler.
It's a good setup. Yeah.
It's a good setup. Yes, that I'll say that.
But I like how Dean Stockwell uses that as the motivation as to why Sam needs to rescue this woman from essentially a mob boss.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Vinny Viper or Snake? I forget.
Viper.
Vinny the Viper.
Vinny the Viper, yeah.
And then this is the younger sister. This was funny. It was a funny character, and she actually did a good job, this actress.
She did a great job on that. We had a lot of fun.
How do they discover that it's basically, at what point do they decide that it's not a suicide? Do they have to meet that Vinny guy first, or they already think about it now?
No, I think they're later on. Yeah.
It's later on that they figure it out.
Yeah.
I see. So at this point, she's still trying to, get it. Is this the part where she says he needs to meet her at the pool, or not yet?
No, this is a little too early. This is all about the flowers and trying to.
But the sister, she does lay in that plot. She's the one that's trying to make the pool happen.
Mm-hmm.
She's got it all planned out about how he can win her back.
Right.
And they're even arguing because Sam is like, "Oh no, you're making it that can't be the right way to do it. I need to do it this way, and then he can win her back on his own later on. I just have to keep him from dying on this boat." And then Al's like, "I don't think it's that easy." And then Sam's like, "Neither do I."
Now, this scene, I have to say, surprised me a little bit. I mean, I saw this episode years ago, but now upon rewatch, it kind of surprised me that, this Vinny guy could have pretended to be nicer, but the fact that he's such a jerk and the father, just desperate to save his business, still wants the daughter to marry him, I guess it really says something, and especially maybe about that time and that year that this is happening.
That era, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Isn't it great to be a transaction?
Well, I have to tell you that James is actually the most darling man I ever met. He always plays bad guys, and he's so easygoing and sweet and funny to be around. He's a really great guy.
He was a good bad guy, though. I mean, I actually thought that he was good in the role, but I understand that I guess in real life he's nice.
Yeah.
Most villainous actors are pretty nice. I mean, that's why they like playing the villain, because they get to be bad once in a while.
That's right. They get to tap into that dark side.
Maybe I can play a villain.
Oh. You got a roll for a squid man? I love every time they talk to the mother, she ends up crying.
Yeah.
It cracks me up.
Patricia Hardy is a sweetheart. Did you know that she was Blondie at one time?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember.
So sweet.
And
the one thing I love about this episode is how clearly defined everyone is as a character. Everyone is they're not a cartoon, but they all have very specific personalities, and I love it. All the gangsters, the father, the mother, it's all great.
And here's this part of this conversation where she doesn't really like the guy, but his father, you'll learn to like, it's good, you have to do this, and he's kind of pushing her. And again, I guess this isn't unreasonable for 1954. I still think that the guy is such a jerk, and he really, really is very forgiving, considered how the guy is acting. But I guess he's desperate with his business, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a status that he needs to maintain. I mean, again, he brings up his Harvard stuff at every opportunity he can. So he cares about his reputation and status. And this marriage allows him to solidify that, as his cruise line is kind of on the decline right now. So the very prestige employment or business that he employs is struggling, and that makes him look like a failure, and he can't stand that. And I think it's a great motivation for him. And I liked how John kind of lays that thick on you, Bev, for you to work with, to be like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it for you, daddy type of attitude, even though it's probably eating her up inside.
Total opposite of Beverly Leech that I know, but I am playing a character.
But here it almost seems like at least he has maybe second thoughts or something. He himself, I think, knows that he's doing something rotten here.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice little quiet moment to show a character reflecting.
Right. I'm glad they gave him that.
No, at this point, Sam says, I've tried everything. I walked up to her. When she was on the way to the bathroom, she went away. I tried talking to her, tried going here, tried going there, and it's all failed. And then I guess this is the part where they come to the conclusion that I guess he needs to go where the dancing is. So you have this guy. Also,
where he can't be completely intimate with someone in a room full of people.
Right.
Right. What's interesting, I like the fact that this guy pretends to have a French accent, but then he's just pretending. I thought that was pretty. It's a nice little touch.
Funny, right?
And it's one of those nice little touches of what we were saying about Deborah Pratt and her writing, that it's not just going for kind of obvious humor, it's just kind of quirky, but it adds to the atmosphere. These little quirks are actually welcome, in my opinion, because it's not just like, oh, I slipped on a banana. It's something a little quirkier. Like this part that he's like, oh, you pretend to speak with a French accent. He's like, oh, can you do the tango or whatever it is? So then he starts dancing. This is a very nice scene. It has a very kind of classic feel to it.
How long did it take you guys to shoot and or train?
Well, I was a professional dancer for many years before I segued into, and so I was classically trained. I had tons of musical theater experience. I trained in ballroom as one of the methodologies, and so for me, it was an afternoon of rehearsing with him. They had a choreographer who had it all mapped out. Why am I blanking? He is also Scott. There he is. There I am. I'm here. Scott has Broadway roots. He's a very versatile. He's a triple threat. So they were extremely happy that they had two professional dancers in the room. So we picked up our choreography, and I was pretty tight with it. So was he. And this was one of my favorite scenes, because I never ever got the chance to dance on camera except for this piece here.
And it looks so nice, just the way, because it's the 50s, because it kind of has this very traditional classic feel. It looks so good that I think that it's always in the credits of the show, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true. They do. They always use this highlights from clips from this particular scene.
And rightfully so.
Right. I can understand why. It looks good. And it doesn't surprise me that you say that you were a professional dancer. And I know that Scott himself, has the Broadway background. This looks very professional. I don't know if that's the right word I'm looking for, but
it is. It is. Yeah.
And the fact that you kind of very quickly put it together says something, about the level of production and acting going on here. So I like it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tex Rogers mentioned something that he loved the scene that Scott kind of jumps over that chair.
Isn't that great? That is such a great moment. I just love that.
Totally.
He really captured those TCM movie moments. I just loved it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then, the two bad guys, they take him aside. They're like, come with us.
I think this is where they figure out that maybe it wasn't suicide.
Right.
Because they start to threaten him.
Right.
And then they start to put it together. Well, maybe it wasn't a suicide. He didn't jump. Maybe they had something to do with it. So
Super Mario Brothers 3 says the lady in red.
Now that was done deliberately, right? The first AD and set coordinators wanted to make sure that you were the only one wearing red in that scene.
I don't know, but I know it was built for me, and it did it from the ground up. Jean-Pierre Dorliac, and I had just had a baby too, so he wanted it to be very tight fitting, and I was really afraid to be in a tight fitting dress, and he just made me look smashing. So kudos to him. He's a genius, that guy.
Yeah,
Lisa Katryan says
you look great.
I wouldn't have known that. Lisa Katryan says, Bev, you did a wonderful job. And that's before she even knew you were pregnant or had a child.
Well, the child was about 6 months old and a few months old, but still, I was still like a little nervous about it.
And then Ron Donofero, you just had a baby and look that good. My wife would be jealous. That's what Ron Donofero said.
Well, that's okay. I got old and chubby, and she won't be jealous anymore.
I don't know, man.
We're all there.
We're all there. Yeah.
There's some
I'm-
like any
Take a number, stand in line. We're all here.
anytime I mention like Raquel Welch, and well, before she died, even probably still now, my wife is like, "Oh, you and your women," and I'm like, "It's Raquel Welch."
Come on, Raquel Welch in a fur bikini. Stop it. It's
That's my jam.
fantastic.
There you go.
Fantastic.
You just made Sean's day.
Even I think she's gorgeous. So come on.
So at this point, they kind of threaten him, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Listen, it's best if you don't talk to my wife anymore." And he's like, and then there is one funny thing here that he goes, "Oh, you're making me an offer I can't refuse." He's basically quoting The Godfather because this is 1954. Obviously, this has never been said before, and the guy actually likes it. He's like, "Oh, that's good," which
Yeah.
is kind of good. I like that. Another little quirk which I liked.
Yeah.
Deborah's good.
And then, of course, realizing that, that they are eager to get rid of him, quite literally, he makes
Mhm.
friends with this captain, and the captain wants to know about his story with Bora Bora. Meanwhile, Al comes along and gives him some info how he did it, rowing to Bora Bora, whatever it is, and he starts going with the guy, and he's like, "Listen, that guy's a crook. Like, you gotta." This is also funny. He's like, "You got a fax," and he's like, "Sam, they don't have fax. You got a
Right.
cable, you got a wire, you got a telegraph." He can't remember what it's supposed to be,
Mhm.
but at the end, he says the right thing, and the guy's like, "Okay, I'll check the criminal record of the guy." But the weird thing is, I feel like the criminal record is never actually checked.
I thought he
It
did
takes
at
it
least.
takes a moment.
I
There's
thought
no
he-
instantaneous.
Is there a
Yeah.
line at the end near the wedding? There might be one. I don't know.
There's a line where both the captain wants Sam and Vinny to be confined to their quarters while he finishes the investigation, because again, you can you can cable for a request of information, but it's still paper and files, so you have to wait for that person to find it and then review it and then
Right.
cable it back to the ship. That was never done within a 24-hour period. That could take days.
Oh yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. That's good.
So
I just remember all those old technologies.
You're right. That would be historically correct.
I'm assuming Script is the younger of the panel. He's like, I remember all that VHS stuff.
I had some really good teachers in university about knowing history when you're writing period pieces, and
Right.
try and learn as much as you can, as quickly as you can, and retain it. It's not easy because there's centuries predating all of us.
Script always sounds very knowledgeable when he talks about these things.
well, he usually is quite knowledgeable about a lot of stuff. So that's at least it's a good combination that he knows a lot of stuff and he sounds like it too.
I fooled you all.
Also dance and tell jokes.
Fooled you all.
And then right here, it's the sister again, and he doesn't even know where his swim trunks are for meeting her at the pool. But she
Real
somehow
fast. The is she in any other episode of Quantum Leap? Because for some reason she looks familiar, or has she been in anything else up to that point?
She's in
Look
a
around.
few things. She kind of stopped. 2022. She's got something coming.
She took a
or
break, I
came
think.
out.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this
Well,
age, was she in
Oh.
something else?
She was
One-
in Equal Justice, The Ghostwriter, A Mom for Christmas.
Baywatch.
Disney.
She was in
Never forgot.
Baywatch, an episode of
Baywatch.
Baywatch. If you watch that.
In the Heat of the Night.
So it looks like she just took a break to go to college and stuff,
That's
as
cool.
she should.
yeah. So in this,
And I wanted to, and real fast, I just wanted to say also, just Scott Bakula's delivery when he's talking to the captain back on the ledge, real fast, and when he's talking to they're kind of interjecting between the captain and the mob guys, and then Al is there too when they're talking about Bora Bora. I love the specific timing that Scott has between the conversation that he's having, and it's almost like he interrupts himself to kind of react to to Al's mentioning of Bora Bora. It's so natural. He does that a lot in the series. I noticed. He's really fantastic.
Yeah, that's why they pay him the big bucks. He's great that way.
Yeah.
And then I guess she tells him he should go to the pool, and then they have the swim trunks, and meanwhile she also convinces, she's quite kind of a matchmaker. She convinces her that she needs to go to the pool, and she's like, well, I mean, what do I need to talk to?
Yeah, in retrospect, she's a very pivotal character for this episode, for sure.
Right. She really manages to push things along here. And then she tells her, well, it's history. I don't know. But she's like, no, but maybe you need to tell him. Like, she convinces her, which is kind of a dumb thing. Not dumb in the sense of, it's kind of like, oh, you need closure. You need to see him. You need whatever, or whatever. She may not use that word, but that's what she sells her on, even though initially the character doesn't want to meet him. But at the end, she's convinced, and she goes to meet him. And then they go to this pool, which, of course, there's no water in, which is kind of funny also.
She's very manipulative. Like, she knows that what her sister really wants, and she's able to push her, which I liked, because I was trying to think if someone was doing that to me, I'd be like, the more they push, the less eager I would want to be to do it. But I like that she's able to convince her to go out the door, and that her sister respects her enough, even though she's 11, to listen to her.
And this is the part where, also it's like, oh, I wish I would have stayed with you in that small apartment. Why did I do this? Why did I do that? But it's not too late and whatever. But then
Bryce also does impressions, in case you haven't noticed.
Yeah. Well, one question I have is, for the wide shot, did you guys go back to loop that? Because it's very wide and you got a lot of tile in there, and I can see echoes just running havoc with sound.
I don't remember doing ADR on it. It's possible that we did. I would have to listen to it to know for sure, because I think there is kind of an echo, if I remember it right. But it's possible we did some ADR. I don't know. I don't remember.
Lisa could try
the
and
framing of the wide shot was beautiful, because Sam goes down one flight of stairs and then you go down the opposite, and you kind of like walk around to meet in the middle. And it was really well. I mean, this shot here, this is really well staged.
It is nice, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Lisa, I did love my swimsuit. In fact, I was a big vintage clothing collector, and I had 2 of my own just like it at home. So, yes.
And I guess...
So this is the scene with a lot of truth-telling and broken hearts.
Right. Which shows that there's still a connection between these characters. But then just... and then, of course, there's the kiss, but no, it's too late. It's too late. And then he walks out, and, of course, the goon shows up with a gun and
this was good.
really raises the stakes here.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to me, real quick, just throughout the entire show, is when Sam's a very wholesome, honorable guy, and every time he leaps into someone that has to be so in love with the female interest, it's always interesting to watch how he struggles with that and gets by, because if he just said I love you with all my heart or whatever, you wouldn't necessarily believe that, because it's Sam saying it and not the actual person he's left into. So I just found that whole scene interesting, and was drawn into how is Sam going to convince her that she needs to be with him, even though he's not really him. I thought it was
Sam
subtly
has a mission.
well.
Sam has a mission.
He has a mission, and I think at some point during that pool scene, he sort of married I can't speak for him, because he does struggle with that. I noticed that tension that you're talking about too, where he has a sort of a conscience about it. But I do believe that in the pool scene, he falls into that moment, and he is the man my character needs him to be in that moment. And there is the real passion, and there is real love, and that she really does break away. And then he's kind of comes to his senses and tries, he's got to move on to the next indicated thing. But He had a good melding moment in the pool. He's a wonderful actor. I loved working with him.
That's nice. That's like it's totally like the nerdy stuff that I end up thinking about way too deeply. Is like how much of it is Sam's brain, how much of it is the actual guy's brain and the emotions and the Swiss cheese mind.
It's not a nerdy thing. Actors struggle with it all the time. How far do I go? We constantly have to say why. How is this happening? Where's this working? And you kind of it's sort of like reverse engineering, where you kind of take it apart, and you don't want to get too intellectual about it, because then you get disconnected from the emotional, and the more compelling, soulful parts of it. But yeah, I think about things like that too. So I guess we're both nerds.
Well, we got the glasses.
And then at this point, she has to get ready for the wedding, even though she's not really excited about it. And I think the little sister is annoyed. And, the mother says, well, once I had a guy that I wanted to marry and I couldn't marry him. And it turned out just great. And she seems like not so happy when she tells this story.
I like this scene with the sisters too. I thought it was very sweet.
I love this. This is the one I was talking about.
This has to be my favorite. Yeah, this has to be my favorite scene.
This is my favorite scene too. Yeah. I love this scene with my sister. It's so beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's tender. It's honest, and it's a break from the action too. Obviously, later on we get into the Sam getting almost killed, but it's a break from the action, but it's such a beautiful scene. You guys are doing so well together. There's so much emotion there that you can tell that it's coming from both of you. It's wonderful.
Yeah, we had a real connection, and I don't want to talk too much about the work on it. I just know that I loved it. I loved doing it. I loved being in it, and I couldn't have been more pleased with the lighting. Look how soft it is.
Right.
Gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And the writing,
talk about whatever you want, Bev.
Yeah.
We're all ears. So yeah, I mean, I agree. This is a very, very nice scene, and I think that it's sort of a good scene that contrasts what we're about to see where Sam is.
Yeah. Go back for a second, because this episode seems like there's a lot of serendipity to it. There's the shot where she raises your dress over your shoulder. Was that planned, or was that just something that she did?
No, my dress fell off my shoulder, and she just naturally did it.
Yeah,
it's just like all of these, happy accidents happen when you're in the scene, when you're in the moment. These real life moments happen just naturally. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she kept on going. She did it. I mean, just wonderful. And again, it kind of shows you I guess a little bit of the sister angle to it. It's like she's taking care of you, where it's supposed to be the older sister taking care of the younger sister. Mm. The roles are opposite, and that was, again, another happy accident, as you say, but that tells us, I think, in volumes how much that relationship means to both of you.
Yeah, I think she definitely understood her role on a very natural level, and I don't think she overthought it. I think she was just in it and she was great to work with. Yeah.
Tex is making fun of my serendipitous.
I love the word serendipity.
Also, part of the reason why there's a contrast here is that I think, if I remember correctly in the dialogue, your character basically tells the little sister, yeah, he's fine, the guy, like, don't worry, Philip is fine, or whatever it is. And meanwhile,
he's all living it up.
It's not fine.
Right. He doesn't look fine at all.
He's in grave danger.
Right.
He's probably been hanging there all night.
Right. And then
this took them all day. This scene took them all day to shoot. And I made a special trip down to Universal to watch them film it. It was a gigantic tank, and they had the real swishing water, and it was just it looked there was a lot of turmoil in there, and the trash coming in. It was a big deal. It was a real big deal to shoot this scene, and they did it all on the lot. It's crazy. Wow. Cool. crazy good crew.
I like the special effect that is here, because obviously, he's a hologram, and you see him standing in the garbage, and as the wall starts to close in, Star Wars garbage compactor style, he kind of like disappears, which
Yeah,
is
that is cool.
really, really
It's
great.
super cool. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Well
I had
done.
I
No.
had to throw in the Star Wars,
I was thinking the same
reference.
thing while I was watching it. It's a great comment, Ro. I agree with you.
Towards the beginning when Al, I think, first showed up, he mentioned that the ship would dump garbage out the back, and that seemed so out of place to me at first that I was like, did we stumble? Or are we going to stumble into a conversation about what like stuff that's put in the shows now, just forced in? But then it did pay off.
Yeah, I thought it was a spoiler alert too. I did. That sort of stuck out to me too, and I was like, Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, they've established in a number of episodes that Al, I think, a few times talked about the environment and pollution.
Yeah.
So for some reason, his character, I mean, I don't know if it was script or somebody in this panel that said during those years, it was a popular thing to kind of insert into shows. But the fact that they use that thing that we already know that he complains about from time to time and actually made it as part of the plot, I think that's pretty clever, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's how you make those types of points feel authentic. I mean, this came out in 1990, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I remember Earth Day being a huge thing. And then shortly, not long after that, you had the cartoon show Captain Planet, which is all about recycling and not dumping garbage, in public places, which is the easier message that everyone got accepted. Because it's like, the park smells of trash because nobody throws it in the trash bin.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start doing that. Just that extra little effort. This one here is a way better plot device because now you get something that, number one, Scott can have a lot of fun doing, rolling in trash. and number two, you get this really true, honest moment that pays off, in one of the final scenes between Scott and Bev.
Did they use real trash, or is it just like, did that set stink at all? When you visited?
A little. I mean, they put kind of fresh trash in there,
okay.
And it was all sort of muddied up to look old and stinky. But when you're shooting there all day, eventually by the end of the day, it does get a little smelly.
So Tex Rogers was saying that he kind of felt it was, when Al talks about the environment, it seemed kind of like strange, out of place. And, Ron Donofero said, but I've seen them do this with his character before, talk about pollution.
I think this is the second time, at least, that I remember.
Yes, I remember it too. And Ishmael says Dean Stockwell was actually a huge environmentalist in real life. Could that have been something that he told them he wants, if possible, his character to talk about? It's possible. Maybe.
And it's funny because he mentions a specific year. He says, Sam, in the year 2000, so much trash is going to be tossed into the sea.
And that's not including China.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I like that dig.
Tex Rogers says, Price of Reason Live, last show he talked about the disposable diapers. Yes, they already cooked that thing last time. So he does talk about it from time to time.
It was just interesting that it, like you said, it was an executed plot device. It was, I liked it.
Plot device is the word I was looking for. Thank you for that.
How serendipitous of you.
So now they're doing the wedding, and I really like the meanwhile. The wedding is taking place, so there's a countdown here. There's a urgency, and he's trying to get out. And I actually like the idea that he's like, use the umbrella, and then the thing slips.
Yeah, it was natural.
It's done rather tastefully. It doesn't feel like it. Not that there's anything bad with the A-Team, but it's not done in an A-Team way. It actually has a little more. It's done in a way that feels a little more realistic.
It's not.
It was realistic. He had a tough time shooting that scene. He didn't struggle with it, but it was a hard scene for him to shoot.
Yeah.
I like that he's so panicked. He's like, "Throw me the rope," and he's like, "I'm a hologram."
I remember his arms are like jelly at this point because he's been hanging by them for hours. So Scott has to act that at the same time.
Right.
And then this is the interesting part, that first of all, she doesn't want to marry him, which means that probably Sam already got to her in a way that in the original, the Philip guy didn't get to her, because I think that in the original one, she didn't say she didn't want to marry this guy, from what I understand.
Well, they probably didn't necessarily meet at the pool. He might have
Maybe.
died whenever the boat captain was coming up. They might have killed him that night, maybe.
Yeah.
So Sam springs into action, but then there's the final kind of planning and payoff situation where he's like, Harvard 1919.
Right.
He also
The
punches
dad.
that guy out.
Yeah.
And then she, you know, the
I love
kiss
this.
and-
It looks so gross.
I know,
Yeah.
totally. And she's
But
like,
this is
you smell bad, but I don't care.
Exactly. That's the payoff of the garbage scene. Is like,
Yeah.
she loves him so much that she will kiss him and hold him while he smells of everybody's trash on that boat.
Well, she does say in the pool, she goes, "Now I wish I had married you and gone to that small apartment."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and they
giving
even,
it all up.
They even tied together the Bora Bora and the sister writing a book. That was completely random, but it works. It's fine that they tied all of those loose ends, and that made money for the family. And they had 6 kids. And then he leaps into somebody that he thinks he's a woman, but then he looks and he's actually a man.
This is going to be a good one.
That's
And
not
then-
the next one though. Episode, is it though?
It is.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
From what I saw, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is.
I thought it was missing in action.
Yeah. On
Yeah,
my
Missing in Action is the next one. I think it's that one. You know what? When we get to the
Okay,
bridge, we'll
spoiler.
cross it. This shot is actually
Oh yeah.
you know, used in the credits. Every time you see this show, they use this shot. So they must have really liked what you guys did here.
They did. Yeah, they did. It's
I'm-
a fan favorite. It was a studio favorite.
That's
Sure.
great. I'm very into aesthetics when it comes to shows and movies like that, and the simple, solid shapes of you guys dancing is beautiful. It's a well crafted shot, and you guys are. It looks like, you know, prime dancers just doing your thing. It was wonderful to watch.
Thank you. Once upon a time, I was the real deal.
Oh, you're still the real deal, especially
Well,
like
dancing wise, I can't do it anymore. But yeah, once upon a time. So it was
I bet if somebody told you to dance now and me to dance, and we were in the same place and we both had to show off our skills, I bet you would be a better dancer than me.
nope,
Twerking's not a skill, Price.
nope. I could probably do the little white man shuffle from the side to side now. That's it.
More than I can do. I'm sure that you'll do more convincing than me. I'm sure of it. But okay.
Somebody had a question. Oh, Tex Rogers at 9:59 had a question that
Thank you, Ron.
10:59.
on mine it says 9:59
Because
Oh.
Rose an hour behind.
because I'm in
It's-
Chicago.
It says, "Do you remember any
of
much of your lines?"
No, I remember how they made me feel. That's what I was really fully invested in playing this. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of old movies and stuff, and I really invested in the research on this and giving myself. So I remember the lines after I've watched the scene. Let's say I catch it on television, and I can remember the whole scene then. But mostly when I look back on it in a random moments, it's how it made me feel. I can remember very strong feelings for each separate scene.
That's cool.
So I see the Super Mario Brothers 3 said Beverly Leech has appeared in TV shows like Square One TV, MathNet, and Sledgehammer. It's Pat, NCIS, Surf School, to name a few. I actually used to watch Sledgehammer. It was kind of a satire show. It was kind of quirky for its time.
Yeah,
Brilliant. show.
yeah. It was based on a Clint Eastwood kind of Make My Day. Isn't that what it was based on?
Kind of, yeah. I think
That with the gun?
like a satirical
Yeah.
version, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Satire,
all
yeah.
about Comedy. Yeah. Like there's
Yeah,
the
I
point
played
where
a stalker serial killer. It's crazy.
And Joshua Calkins, thank you, Bev, for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Joshua.
Joshua also shows up to a lot of our streams, so
Thank
yeah,
you, Joshua.
People are all pretty happy, and everybody here.
Yeah, I see people are posting about Babylon 5. Yeah, that's still got a fan base. I hear from people on that. And
Sheridan's Sister in season 2. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bruce
there's people.
Boxleitner was a terrific person. I remember my scenes with him. He was super easy to work with, very affable. Just wanted to know about, like, if you were sitting down for coffee, you know, he just wanted to know more about you, and we'd have real conversations. He was a really cool, unpretentious guy. Really liked him.
You have a lot of people that are thanking you for being here, and even
Thank you
Tex
for having
Rogers
me.
says that he's a huge fan of B5. So that already, the fact that you were on there, that's a big deal for Tex.
Thank you, Tex. It was a big deal for me too. I love sci-fi, and also the MathNet. It is a spoof of Dragnet. I played Kate Monday instead of Joe Friday. Dum da dum dum.
So Rhonda Nefero, I'm watching B5 now, season 2 soon with my wife. Looking forward to seeing you in it. And Tex Rogers, Bev, Bruce, and others also said that B5 was a great show to watch in. Bruce was in Tron also, right? And he was also in Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
Yeah.
He did a lot of stuff. I remember, growing up.
Did you say Tron?
Yeah.
Wait, was he not in Tron? I thought he was.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
No. I didn't hear it right the first time.
Yeah. I said
That's a really
Tron
cool movie.
He's in Tron with Jeff Bridges, but he also there was this show. Unless I'm getting it wrong, there was a show.
No, The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. I used to watch all the time.
Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
Yeah, there was something that he was kind of. She was a housewife with like kids, and he was some kind of secret agent. I can't remember the premise of why they were working together, but I do remember
had died, and they were working together to discuss. She was brought in because her husband had died, and he's protecting her.
That's a great memory script because I remember the show and I remember enjoying it. But to tell you exactly the premise of why they were working together, I couldn't remember it. So thank you for
that. Reaching into the back of my mind, and that was a show that I was a toddler when it came out, and I watched that in the 90s in syndication. So that's so.
Sean M&T was Tron. Yeah, I mean, he also appeared in Tron Legacy, actually.
Yep, he was also a voice of his own character in the cartoon show that was short-lived as well. But enough about Bruce. Let's keep talking about Bev.
I know, really.
Tex Rogers, Scarecrow and Mrs. King, my wife and I are watching it now. Okay. We'll we'll leave it alone. But yes, you're here, Bev. That's more important. And I guess we were talking about stuff I think before the stream, and I don't know if it all came up, but just maybe some thoughts and like some things that you remember from there of working. Whether it's working with Scott and Dean or just the crew in general. I mean, Don, Deborah Pratt, whoever was directing this, the crew there.
What was the gaffer like?
What was the atmosphere like on set? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Everybody was supercharged to be there. They all loved their job because it was such a good show and they were good at it. The show was good because they were good at it. You know what I mean? The gaffers, the light, all of the crew, they knew that the show wasn't going to be the show without them too. So everybody had a part to play, and they all loved their job. They loved coming to work. I was always, really full of admiration for Dean, who was just like James Garner in this way. He knew everybody's name. Every single PA, gaffer, electrician. I mean, he knew everybody's name and would ask them, "Hey, how's your wife doing? I heard, how's your cold doing?" I mean, he just remembered everything and he treated them like family. James Garner was the same way. He knew everybody's name down to the littlest tyke, and he would sit down in between scenes on an apple box and smoke a cigarette with the crew.
Right, he wasn't. You were on Rockford Files too, right?
Rockford Files, and also a Bruce Willis, James Garner movie. It wasn't very good, called Sunset. But Dean was like that. Scott was like that. The set environment was. They were really very high. They were huge in the ratings. The the wardrobe department was winning Emmys hand over fist because of
So they
all
were
of
already
the.
doing well at this point. This was already the show had
They,
taken
they
off.
were.
Yep.
The show was taking off, and so I came in at the sweet spot. I came in at a sweet spot of the run. That's my feeling. Where
I think
everybody
so,
was,
too.
that where everybody they weren't tired of doing the show. They were all excited to be there. People arrived earlier than their call time just because they wanted to be at work. It was great, and they didn't treat me like, being a guest star can be so tenuous sometimes. It's not that people are cold; they just don't. It's almost like you're invisible. They just call you to the set, and you do your job, and you go home. But they weren't like that on this set. All of the supporting actors and the guest stars, even though they were only there for the week, they were treated with the same warmth and inclusivity as each other. So I was a member of the family for that 10 days of shooting. It was great.
What was Joe Napolitano like to work with? Because he directed that episode.
Yeah.
How did he help you, or how did he inspire you if he got that opportunity? Because a lot of TV show directors don't usually get much with the main cast, but they usually like to put a lot of work in with the guest stars because that's where they can kind of put their stamp on it, along with.
Oh, I loved him.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to work with him again. He had a lot of really great stories. Come on, I mean, he worked on the Untouchables, and he's been on a lot of great projects, and he was just a very cool, down to earth guy. I mean, he didn't really hang. He had a lot of decisions to make. There was a lot of moving parts with this one. Think about all the sets and the location changes and stuff. He had a lot going on, but he never lost his temper. He was very even tempered, and he had a sense of humor, and he actually didn't have to direct me very much. I think he trusted his actors. I think he's one of those directors that casts actors that know how to do their job, and he trusts them. And the only time he really approached me was like, if you was to protect me in the camera, like if you just take a half step back, we'll see this moment better because it's wonderful and I don't want to lose it. Do you know what I mean? He was always trying to help the actors, the camera capture the actors best and not have to lose it in editing, so. And he was like that with everybody. He was a real professional. And I had hoped I think he's passed away. Could be wrong.
No, but he passed away sadly 2016.
Yeah. And I was and I had always hoped to work with him again because I'm sure he had a vault of information and is locked away up here. Good stories to tell,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess anybody in the panel or in the chat or something, if you want to ask Bev questions, now's the time. We probably won't have another opportunity for it.
Oh, they're off watching the game. I know what's going on.
No, not the people here. Bev, while it's true that you are older, aren't we all? But you have a great attitude, very encouraging.
Thank you.
Tex Rogers with his warm and kind words in a way that only Tex can deliver them.
Thank you. It's life is not worth it unless you have something to look forward to. So I try to rewire my brain. I have to talk myself into a good attitude every morning.
Quantum Leap
coffee helps.
Coffee helps for sure.
Coffee, sure. Super Mario Brothers 3, Quantum Leap was almost canceled midway through season 3. However, a letter writing campaign saved Quantum Leap. There's even an NBC promo that addresses it. Oh boy. Yes, that did happen, which was weird because the show was doing well for them. I never understood why they wanted it gone.
I think
it's expensive.
It was an expensive show, and there was a network head change, I believe, at that time.
Yeah, there was. That's right. And yes, Scott is a good kisser.
Oh.
Smirk. But so am I. So you have to make it work.
But he was nice, like on the day-to-day doing scenes with him and everything. He was a nice person to work with.
He's a total gentleman. Yeah. I've worked with other leading men who are not gentlemen.
I see.
Yeah.
Malachi,
go ahead.
Malachi D. Wildman asked, did you meet Donald P. Belisario?
I didn't, but I did work with Deborah quite a bit.
Well, that's good. And I guess we've gone through this episode. Usually what we do at this point, we kind of go one by one and share our thoughts about this episode. It's always a bit strange when a person is in the episode and he has to share his thoughts about how he felt about the episode. But we'll start with you, Bev. You can say, when you look at this episode and when you look at it today, and when you look at this show, what are your general sentiments about it?
My general sentiments, a great love. It was one of the highlights, a great memory. A lot of the other projects that I've done have sort of faded somewhat, but this one is a highlight. And I'm glad I felt like I lived some life doing this one because it was such a thrill to do it.
Okay. Sean, how did you feel about this episode?
I love
Do you
it.
want me to stop my camera so you guys don't feel put on the spot? You know,
No.
No,
Do
yeah,
whatever
okay.
you want. No, everybody's.
Okay.
Renault's,
Yeah, I was like,
Rose just scratching his nose. He doesn't want you to see.
yeah, I don't want to force you guys to compliment me. That would be weird.
Oh,
I think it sucked.
And you can say that to someone like me. I wouldn't come after you.
So, Sean, how did you feel about this episode?
I love it. It's one of my favorites. When I was watching reruns back in high school in the 90s, this one actually, watching it today, I was like, oh, I totally remember this one, but I don't remember all the little details. And I love all the characters in it, and the story I thought was really tight. We always say that there's like the peak episodes, and then there's the solid episodes, but they're not as good as those peak ones. I feel like this is one of those peak ones. And yeah, I like it a lot. A lot of heart. Very funny, very tight. And Bev, it might sound weird, but you have one of those faces that is so familiar. I feel like I've seen you all my life in something, just in
probably
different roles and stuff. And it's just super cool that you're here and we get to talk to you and ask you questions.
And also, I have that kind of face that reminds people of their sister, their college roommate, their next door neighbor. I tend to always remind people of someone else too. So maybe that's it.
But
Parole
seriously,
officer.
No, I was going to say
Parole
a young
officer. That's funny.
but seriously, Bev has been, I think I looked on IMDb, like on 67 different shows or something.
Yeah.
It's not, you have probably seen her in a lot of places, and most of the shows were things that you know. It's not every single show almost, I think, on that list. I'm like, I know this show. It's so, you really made the rounds in terms of appearing on a lot of these programs.
Yeah. It's called the pounding pavement. It's a job. It's a real job. It's hard. I also did a lot of commercials, and I know I might be. I would love to go back to stage. I did like 15. I was on stage for about 15 years before I came to LA to do TV and film, and I do love doing stage work too. So
awesome. Ro, how did you feel about this episode?
You know, it's funny. I am one on the panel that has never seen Quantum Leap when it first aired. To me, Scott Bakula was not one of those actors like, oh my God, I got to go see what he's doing. But I'm because of this now. I'm watching Enterprise, rewatching Enterprise, and watching this episode. Or really watching the entire series with these gentlemen has been such a treat for me. Again, not having seen the show when it's during its first run. I'm really having fun watching all the episodes, and then kind of having to listen to everybody else and what they thought of it when they first saw it, compared to maybe some people have been doing kind of like a rewatch, now for this series, for this show here. But it's wonderful to see you, Bev. You had mentioned that you are a fan of those period pieces, those films back in the day, and I think from from the first time you stepped foot into that room and you smacked Sam with the door and you came forward to that first spot where you crossed your arms and you faced the camera, I could kind of tell that it was almost like you were stepping out of time into the show. And it got me captivated. It got me excited to see what your character was going to do. I was like enthralled. It was a very powerful first appearance for me. And again, we've seen a lot of these shows already where this is like the second to the last episode of the second season.
Second season, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you hit it out of the ballpark during that first appearance. In my eyes, it was a great story, a great episode. You guys had chemistry. I mean, I think the entire cast had some really wonderful chemistry. And we have talked in the past about how this show is almost, family based, not just with some of the themes in the story, but it really does seem like the actors and the crew, and you obviously have already mentioned it. We've had some other folks here as well that mentioned how close the crew was during production. So it's wonderful to see, and it's wonderful to see that aspect of production demonstrated in everybody's performance. And then again, you mentioned, because I'm big into the technical, you mentioned the lighting during that scene with you and the sister character. All of that stuff, you can tell that the people both behind the camera and in front of the camera had a passion to do this show right. And kudos to the entire team for really, putting, blood, sweat, and tears into this show, because obviously from the stuff that you talked about regarding the accolades that the show received in the public light, it's well deserved. And I'm really happy this and the rest of the team to watch this series, because it gives me an opportunity to see something that I didn't the first time, and then obviously meet some cool people like yourself.
Thank you. Yeah. Ditto to everything you said.
Yeah.
And Script, how did you feel about this episode?
Oh, this is a fantastic one. It's got a very simple plot, very great romantic comedy type of plot. Stop a wedding, win the girl back. I really liked the inventive reason that separated them, that he's lost at sea. Father, who didn't like him in the first place, got the wedding annulled, and now she's single again and going to be walking down the aisle with a criminal mob boss. I would love if they were able to touch on, like, how did she meet this guy? That
was missing. That really was missing from the script, wasn't it?
Yes. But I mean, I like the fact that there's this, I mean, like Bev, you and Ian Scott played this separation really well, considering the fact that he has really no real context on it, but you just have this, you play it so genuine that when he is lost at sea, you could tell in your recount of everything, all of her regrets and the time that's passed, that all she cared about for many, many months was just trying to find a way to get him back, like, and move and continue on that life, that dream that she had prior to all the conflict of the social class status that was there, where she's like, yeah, you turned down dad's job offer, and I didn't understand why, but now I do. And the scene in the pool, everything that you did was fantastic, but it was such a simple story that really delved into the characters that allowed us to drive it home. And these are one of my the things I love best about screenwriting, is the fact that if you keep the plot very simple, but you make the characters really complex, it doesn't matter if it feels like it's a predictable plot, because we're so invested in the characters and what they're trying to achieve. And you sold it 100%. And
thank you.
I enjoyed it so much. It's like, man, if I do have a really juicy role, I'm like, maybe I should get Bev Leech.
Well, I recognize the script as being an extraordinary opportunity to really invest, to invest something. It could go. It was the kind of love story that could go south really fast, sideways really fast, if into melodrama, or playing at an idea. If I didn't invest the inside of me into really believing that he was lost at sea and he did break my heart, and all of that stuff. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah.
I just want to say that Nick, who's usually with us, has really wish I didn't miss this one. He had some things going on. His AC broke down, and there were some things going on in his home. He really wanted to be here, but you were with us in spirit, Nick. So
He's the guy with the goat from last week.
He has goats.
So Nick, I hope you're cool now. Are you okay? Because the heat is hot. It can be miserable.
Yeah. And he lives in California, so I assume it was hot for him.
It's been really bad here, and in Arizona too. It's even worse.
So, as far as what I think, this is a memorable episode. I've always liked it, and I think Script said something about its simplicity in the sense of it's not trying to do crazy, convoluted things. It's simple, it's straightforward, but when simple and straightforward is done correctly, with a good cast of characters, with a lot of enthusiasm, with good writing, I think that it comes off great. And this episode is an example of that. I also think that this was supposed to be happening in 1954 on a boat, and I feel like between the acting, between what you guys were wearing, between the different the directing, the different atmosphere here, it really gives that vibe, and that's what you want from a time travel show. So I think that this is definitely a solid episode. One of the better ones. I mean, I like all of the episodes of this show except for one. I like all of them, but this is one on the upper part of the list. This episode, usually, I remember it. It's memorable.
I kind of agree with you. A lot. They're all good, but some of them are filler, like good stories, but they fill the season, and then there are others that just really elevate the show. So and I felt privileged to be a part of that. Really got to experience that. So when someone asked me earlier, when you look back on it in your life, and so I felt privileged to be a part of that. There's other kind of eventful projects that I was part of, and I felt privileged to be a part of that. That I could be there and experience it, and it's awesome. It's all a gift. Everything is a gift. Washing the dishes is a gift.
Oh, yeah.
And I was about to say this, but Tex Rogers actually took the words out of my mouth, and it was a privilege to have Bev with us tonight. And I agree, it really was a privilege. I know maybe it doesn't seem like that to you, but we sit here every week and we kind of dissect these episodes, and there's a lot of enthusiasm in these great conversations. And to have somebody who was there and share this kind of insight, I mean, we're all just, we're thrilled, and we're very grateful that you came here tonight. And
well, thank you for having me. I love to. You also encourage me. It's encouraging to know that the people are passionate and have enthusiasm for storytelling and an appreciation for the creatives, all of the creatives, not just one particular actor or the right, just the whole thing. That kind of appreciation, you don't get to hear about very often. So it was you really helped me. You really helped me tonight. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Well, you
were a gift to me too. What?
We reminded you that you're valuable because all actors, when you're contributing to a great story, you're very much a pivotal point as to why that story is great. Even if the old phrase, there's no small roles, only small actors. I mean, that's the thing. It's like every actor came in, even if it was a small role, they knocked it out of the park. They stole their moment as they're supposed to do. And I mean, listen, this industry does not like to reward all the people that are considered like below the line or supporting actors or whatnot. It's because they figure the star is the driving point. But I always felt that was kind of a misnomer, because it's like the star can't act that well without a great support cast around them. And then even the guest stars can't act that well without a great team to help support them, because it's a reciprocal process.
There's I forget what the director's name was, because it was, he had a leading lady that was very temperamental, and she was always challenged by anybody who was prettier than her or better than her or even as good as her. She just wanted to be surrounded by no talents. And it really, it pulled the whole show down, because you're right. She can't be a good actress unless she's got something to bounce that's her, it's a law of physics. You got it's an equal and opposite reaction to it, and it pulled the whole show down, and they canceled it like mid-season.
Wow.
Because they couldn't get any good scenes going, but it had to do with a temperamental star. But I guess the studio showed her, like, just took her show away from her. But that can happen. I have a deep appreciation for people who encourage me to continue to tell stories and want to experience that as well. And so it's all good. I'm you, you're me. I don't want to get too omega in here, but we're all one. I can't do this without you either. Someone's got to watch it.
I mean, it's a good attitude to have, and I think this is one of the things that I really enjoy about this panel, this show, this show that Price has put together. We love talking about all this stuff on our own with our own projects, but it's wonderful to kind of come together and really geek out on the stuff that we see with this show in particular, obviously, but it's a great attitude.
I'm a fellow geek. And I'm also a history buff. So who said that earlier? You had to be good at history.
Oh, that'd be me. Yeah, I like learning about history as well, because
that was my favorite class. It was my best class. That in English.
Well,
it's good to have if you're going to be an actor, I guess.
A lot of people here in the chat said that you're always welcome to come back, and I want to echo that sentiment. Of course,
thank you.
You're welcome guest anytime if you like what we do here, and I think people will always be happy to see you. So,
well, thanks for having me, guys, ladies and germs, and I will. I'll keep the email with the streaming link, and have a great night.
And now, what we do here every week is that there's a theme song, like an outro song, and because she doesn't know, I'll tell her I sing, and I'm the one that sings the theme song, and I play all the instruments, and it's no Scott Bakula, but maybe you'll like it. So we're gonna go to the outro. I want to thank everybody for being here. We had a great presence in the chat tonight. There's people here that are here every week, and we're always very grateful for that. And you asked some great questions, and this was just a fun experience for everybody. And on that positive note, I'm wishing you a great evening. We'll see you all next week, and we'll play Bev our outro. Here we go. I'm such an awesome guy.